By 1899, the age of outlaws and gunslingers was at an end, and we've been mourning it ever since. Welcome to the Outlaw Haven, your home for Red Dead Redemption and the Wild West. I'm Sam.
I'm Zai.
Today we are finishing our chapter 2 of Horseshoe Overlook. And before we get started, we just wanted to remind everyone that we have merch now. It's not a whole lot available, but there's merch if you feel so inclined to support us a little further beyond just listening to us, which if you are listening, we are beyond grateful. So
Yes.
that's all I have for an announcement. But starting
Oh, wait.
what?
By
Yeah.
the time this episode goes live, last week was a very special episode.
Yes, it was.
Not only because it was Sam's birthday,
Oh.
but we the amazing Mick Malamphy, Sean McGuire himself on. At the time of recording this episode, we haven't even recorded that episode with Mick, so who knows what we get up to in that.
Right? I'm sure it was a good time.
Oh, yes.
But looking back at chapter 2 so far, where did we start? We
We done with a quiet time.
Okay. So looking back at chapter 2 so far, we got to take the girls into town and saved Karen from a guy in a hotel.
Yep.
Then we chased down Jimmy Brooks, and either we saved him or we didn't. But we had Americans at Rest, where we got in the big bar fight with Tommy and found out that Trelawney found Sean. Then we went and got Swanson back from Flatneck Station. We went and got Sean from the Upper Montana. We paid a social call, and we went and found the O'Driscolls at Six Point Cabin, but Colm wasn't there. We brought Kieran back to camp, though, so Kieran is officially untied from the tree. We did money lending and other sins with Strauss, where we went and got money back from Mr. Roble, Chick Matthews, and or Lily Millet. And we did a quiet time, and we got drunk with Lenny. It's a good time.
Yeah, very good.
So picking up where we left off, we are on to Exit Pursued by a Bruised Ego. This is the mission where we go hunt the legendary bear with Hosea.
Yes.
We find Hosea in camp working on a gun. He's just cleaning his
Yeah, he's just cleaning the
gun.
rolling block. Don't know why he has a rolling block, because his gun's the semi-auto shotgun.
You just know this off the top of your head, and it amazes me.
Yep.
Hosea is sitting there cleaning his gun, and he says, "You want to go hunting?" And he gives us the Raven Black Shire horse.
Yes, only time you can get it too, so don't sell it.
Don't sell it. It's the best horse. That's the one I always get. What do you name it when you get that one?
I usually wait until I get to level 2 bonding, and then I'll name my horses. It's
You
really
gotta wait
weird.
until they're sticking around before you name them.
Yep. And then it's then I'll take them back to the stable. Plus, I gotta actually have time to think of a name.
Do you have a name for the Raven Black Shire, though?
Not really. Most of the time, I'll just do basic midnight smoky shit like that.
That's funny. I always name the Raven Black Shire Unruly, since Hosea always says Arthur was unruly, and he calls the Raven Black Shire an unruly bastard. So we get the Raven Black Shire, we put our saddle on him, and we take it to the stables in Valentine. This is where we unlock the stables and we get the grooming brush so we can finally brush our horse.
Yep, finally.
Get some treats for it, and we get the option to purchase a new horse. Well, it's not really an option. You have to buy a new horse.
Mhm.
But
Which is
you
kind of stupid. If
the
you
option
keep
is
the
which horse
Raven.
you buy. Yeah. So you choose a horse. There's either the Palomino Morgan, there's the Palomino American Standard Bred, or the Chocolate Roan Dutch Warm Blood. Or if you have the Ultimate Edition, you get the option to buy the
Yeah,
Reverse
the
Dapple Thoroughbred.
special or ultimate
Yeah, you get that Thoroughbred
for free.
Yep.
Or if you have pre-ordered the game, you get the Ardennes too.
Oh yeah, that is a Blue Roan.
Yeah.
Which I did not get that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't have it on PlayStation.
Exactly.
But I got it on Xbox.
Lucky. So you get your horse, and Hosea's dialogue when you come out of the stables also changes depending on which horse you buy.
Mhm.
If you get the cheap little
The
Palomino
cheap,
Morgan.
yeah,
He's like,
$15
"Why'd you
one.
buy that?" But then you get moving, and Hosea starts asking Arthur, how are you and John?" And Arthur's still very bitter about John leaving the gang for a year. Hosea says that John just wants to put it behind him. So we keep riding, and then we come to a spot where there's a bunch of rabbits running away, and you have to shoot and kill a rabbit so you have some food to eat, which Hosea does not eat, but
Mhm.
it was his idea.
Yeah.
So you kill a rabbit, you set up a camp. This is kind of your introduction also into setting up your campsite, your
Mhm.
wilderness camp. And then Arthur cooks the rabbit. You learn how to cook and craft here. And then they go to bed, wake up, they get back on the road. And Hosea talks about how he was once in this area with Bessie. At one point, we get the option to ask about Sean or ask about Micah. And the dialogue changes whether or not you've even gotten Sean at this point. So he asks, like, or no, I don't think you can you do this mission before you go or after you get Sean?
Yeah.
I don't know that I've done that. I don't remember the difference in the dialogue if you play this mission after you get Sean. I know there's dialogue, but I
Mhm.
don't remember what it is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, 'cause I
I always
always
ask
do it
about Sean,
before.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
same.
same. And I always ask about Sean because I don't really give a shit about Micah.
Nope.
But I mean, it's just them talking about where they're at, I think.
Yeah.
Not really anything super exciting, but then we get down by the water. We also learn that he was in this area with Bessie years ago, and he talks about Arthur says, "I imagine you still miss her," and Hosea says, "Every day." And Arthur asks if he ever thought about getting out of the life, and he says, "We did briefly. You don't remember? I guess you were still young." And so, at some point, when Arthur had recently joined the gang, and he says things were looser back then, but Hosea and Bessie had left the gang for a little bit
Mhm.
wanting to get out of the life, but Bessie knew who he was, knew what he was, and they
Mm-mm.
drifted back into it. And so we get down to the water. This is where we use our eagle eye to track down the legendary bear. This is the introduction mission to the legendary animals. And we get down to the edge of the tracks when you're tracking the bear, and you leave bait or split up. And I always leave bait.
I
I
always
don't.
split up.
Oh, do you?
Because then you can keep the bait,
Oh, fair point. I never thought of that. But
and then I
I
always
always
use it for the getting the panther.
Do you wanna talk about what happens if you split up?
Nothing really happens. Hosea goes one direction, you go the other, of course, and eventually you guys just end up coming back together and placing bait anyway, but it's technically Hosea placing it, so that's how you kind of get to keep it. And then from there, of course, the mission just plays out normally from placing the bait,
Mm,
going hiding, and checking on the bait, and then the bear comes up and you shoot it.
yep, and in order to get gold on this one, you have to track the bear within 1 minute and 30 seconds, shoot the bear at least 6 times, and complete the mission within 12 minutes. So, don't take too long picking a horse, basically,
And skip the cutscenes.
and skip the cutscenes. So, once you finish this, the bear runs off, and you get the option to either go back to camp. So, yeah, after you shoot the bear, it runs off. You don't kill it, but you get the option to either go back to camp with Hosea or you can stay and actually hunt the bear. That leads us into
Yeah, I guess if you go back to camp, it'll just play out in a cutscene. You guys just are riding into Horseshoe, and then you're
mm,
back at camp, which is nice.
right. I always go back to camp. I'm
So
just
do
like
I.
I'll hunt the bear later because usually at that point I haven't unlocked fast travel, so I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
get me out of here.
Yeah.
But in the book, that leads us to money lending and other sins, part
Part 3.
3. This is where you search for Thomas Downs and try to convince him to pay his debts in whichever manner you deem appropriate. So I guess we already kind of talked about that technically.
Well, a little bit, not really.
I mean, that's really all it is.
I mean,
But you just have to complete the mission within 2 minutes and 10 seconds
yeah, I mean, yeah, you go
for
up
the
to
gold.
he's in his little
His garden.
wimpy garden, and he tries to
Mhm.
throw a rake at you, and then a very specific beat happens of Thomas Down coughing on Arthur Morgan.
Yeah, I guess this mission is a little more important than I
Uh,
made it sound.
yeah,
Yeah.
just a little bit.
I hate this mission, man.
It sucks. I'm
This is
like,
the mission where Thomas Downs coughs in Arthur's mouth, and then he rides back to camp, and the music is so sad.
yep,
Moving on to Blessed Are the Meek. This is where we have to go break Micah out of jail in Strawberry.
yeah, or Deathberry as I call it, because of this mission.
Fair enough. And you can either start this mission by going into the sheriff's office and you start asking about Como Driscoll and his gang, and the
Mhm.
sheriff tells you you can see him when we hang him.
Well, it's not even about Colm. It's
It's
just,
it's not, it's just him trying to get down
yeah,
there, I think.
it's just him being like, I'm in search of a notorious gang that's been around these parts, and heard you have one of them,
Right.
and then like you can see for yourself when we hang them, and then
Yeah.
you go outside, and then you still have to go by the jail window, and
Right. Or you can start the mission by just going straight to the window on the side of the building and starting it by talking to Micah.
yeah, you can either greet or the better option, antagonize him.
Right.
But the
And I'm
interesting,
does he really does the dialogue change when you greet him or antagonize him? Because I feel like it
yeah,
doesn't matter which one you pick, he does say, like, the same, like, "Well, hello there, old friend," or whatever he says.
I think
Or,
it
"Had a good
changes
time, did you?"
changes a little bit between like the two.
Huh.
I'm not 100%. It's been a while.
I know, I always antagonize, so I'm not even sure what happens if you greet him. I think I might have greeted him the very first time I played because I didn't even know who Michael was at that point.
Right?
I was just like, "Who the fuck is this?"
Yeah. But it's an interesting thing. The game tells you to go to the Steam Donkey to try
Mhm.
get over to him and unlock it. But you can also go ahead and just take dynamite from your satchel and place it on the window, and
Yeah.
then you can blow it up and it'll still act the same. So that'll save you a little bit of time, and you'll
Yeah.
break Micah out of jail. And as soon as you hand him a gun, he'll immediately turn around and shoot his cellmate, who's Driscoll.
He was an O'Driscoll. The way Micah says that line,
So good.
it cracks me up.
Every single time.
As much as I hate him, that line cracks me up.
Yep. Yeah, as
Um,
much as I hate Micah, he's got some lines.
yeah. But so rather than leaving town, they just decide to have a whole shootout and run back through town because Micah needs to get his guns back from what's the guy?
Skinny is what
Skinny.
Micah calls him, but his actual name is Norman.
And Micah also talks to Skinny's girlfriend and he says, "Hello,
Wait,
Maddie. Did you miss
yeah.
me?" I'm assuming that's Skinny's girlfriend. It's another shootout. And then while escaping, you need to kill all mounted lawmen within 55 seconds, get 15 headshots, finish with at least 70% accuracy, complete the mission without taking any health items for the gold. And on the ride out of Strawberry, I can never get gold on this one. Trying to get kill all the mounted lawmen before Micah gets to him is
Mm-mm.
so hard
So difficult.
because he's like ahead of me and I can't catch up to him. So, I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me problem. There's probably someone listening that's being like, "You can't do that."
Yeah,
No, I
like,
can't.
most of the time I think most of the time I get that one. I forget.
I've never gotten gold on that one. I've tried so many times. I cannot kill all the mounted lawmen.
I feel like it also depends on, like, what gun you're using. Because I always go to Rhodes to get the, Lancaster immediately, one of the first
That's
things I do
probably
in
my
chapter
problem.
2. Because
I guarantee that's my problem. I go into it with the wrong gun.
if you're just using it with, the carbine,
That's
then
probably what I use.
it's gonna be a slower fire rate than the Lancaster, plus the Lancaster has double the capacity.
I need to go back and play this mission again. And then on the ride back, Arthur asks, he's like asking, "Who was that?" And Micah says, "Just a guy I used to ride with or whatever." He
Mhm.
says, "Didn't end well." Arthur says, "I saw how it goddamn ended."
So many good lines between them 2.
I know. And then I love that there's just like a random thunderstorm as they're riding away from Strawberry, like just right past a Riggs station. Is that Riggs?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's Riggs station. But just right as they ride past Riggs station, there's like thunderstorm. They have their little conversation, and then thunderstorm's over.
Oh my god, the lightning strikes so perfectly. I love how it's scripted.
Right?
And then Micah also gives you, at the end of this mission, a second holster. So now you can dual wield.
Yes. So that's pretty much it for
That's that
Blessed
for,
are the meek.
yeah. Back at camp, you get a note on your camp table from Mary Linton, who's Arthur's ex fiance.
We get the letter from Mary. I think Susan technically usually tells us that there's a letter from Mary, and Susan says, "You know how I feel about that girl," or whatever. But the letter says, "Dear Arthur, I've written this letter 100 times or more, and I cannot get it right. It's me. You know it's me from the bad handwriting. I know I said when last we spoke, and I was going off to get married, that we would not speak again. I know I said a lot of things, and I meant them, I suppose, at the time, but I am not so proud as to not speak to people who care for me or cared for me. I've been in Valentine for a couple of months. I had some bad luck, and, well, it's a long story and not an interesting one, but I am here for now. I saw a couple of the girls, or whatever the polite term is for them, that ran with you and your associates in town, and I heard tell of a man who sounded like you. I would love to see you again if you could spare me a little bit of your time. I am renting a room at Chadwick Farm, just north of Valentine. Yours, Mary Linton." And we go and find Mary, and I always, maybe it's just me, it's probably just a me thing, but I always make Arthur like dress up really nice. I always make Arthur go buy new clothes, take a bath, get a haircut, and like get the nicest horse just to be like in your face.
I'm like, I'll go there and just spit on her.
God,
I have such a vendetta against Mary Linton now.
dude, same. But like I'm like in the like passive petty version where I'm just like how great my life is. I have a prized stallion and my hair is neat and trimmed and I don't know.
Yeah, all that went away once I hand wrote the script.
Yeah.
That mission sucked.
Yep.
Well, not this one, but for side mission in Saint Denis, that was hell.
Yeah. We go and talk to Mary, and she tells us that her husband passed away, and she wants Arthur's help getting her little brother back from the Chelonians. And you get the choice of whether or not to help Mary. And I believe you do need to help Mary in order to unlock, in order to do one of the achievements. Is that the
Yeah, you need
lending a
to
hand?
do all of it for lending a hand.
Okay. So for lending a hand achievement, that one you need to complete, like you need to help Mary with everything. And so if you do choose to help Mary, then we ride east of Cumberland Forest and we find the Chelonians by the edge of a cliff. And that scene is so pretty. Like
Mhm.
aside from the fact that we're finding the turtle cult, but like that spot is so pretty.
Yeah, it really is.
And then they do their show of safety thing. And in order to get the gold medal, you need to peacefully convince the Chelonians to let you take Jamie and then return Jamie to Mary within 2 minutes. And after we chase down Jamie, you can't catch him until you get across the railroad tracks or until Jamie gets across the railroad tracks and then a train goes by. And Jamie is just really struggling. Jamie does not know what he wants to do with his life. He doesn't know what he wants to be. He doesn't feel like he has a purpose. And you have to shoot the gun out of his hand. Basically, you have to shoot the gun out of his hand and convince him to go get Mary. And then Jamie hugs Arthur and asks if Arthur and Mary are sweet on each other again. And he says, nope. Not like that, but. And along the ride back, Jamie asks about Annabelle and Bessie. And that's when Arthur says, I'm afraid they're dead. And Jamie says, maybe it's a good thing Mary and you split up. And
Mhm.
Arthur's like, no doubt.
And it's like it's so interesting because like we were talking about, he's the only other character that mentions Annabelle aside from of course Dutch
Hmm.
and well Bessie too. Of course Hosea talks about her all the time, but he's the only other character and it's like he's early 20s, late teens. So it's like okay, this for him to remember both of them, it's like it's not too I mean, still, like, probably early on in the gang when it
Yeah.
happened, but it probably wasn't as, like, late as a lot of people, I think
But I
that
also
everything
think
happened.
it's like, how often was Mary and Jamie I mean, we know Mary had to have been around quite a bit, but how often was
Yeah, but
Jamie with
Jamie
these
is
people?
it's weird. Like, I
Mhm.
never expected really the Jamie thing, but at the same time, it's like part of me also just goes to, like, okay, how much is of this is just a development oversight?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. It's like we get so caught up in the story and, like, trying to, like, figure out
Logic.
the timeline and logic, everything, and it's like it's a fictional game, like, we're
Yeah,
just piecing shit together for the fun of it because we love
that
the lore.
that went out the window when we tried to, fit the Red Dead map into states.
Yeah, that's so difficult.
Oh,
But
it's the worst.
anyway, yeah, you get Jamie back to the station, and Mary's just like, "Okay, thanks, bye,"
Yep.
after all that.
Yeah, they talk for, like, a little bit. Arthur walks with her to the train, and that's literally the mission.
Yeah, and we do talk about, their father quite a bit within this well, sort of,
Both the, like,
yeah.
second one, well, we see his father her father in the second one,
Yeah,
so
but they mention it in this one where Jamie says what does Jamie say about their father? That I think he says, like, "Father wouldn't be happy to see you
yeah.
talking to Mary again," or something like that, right?
Mhm.
And then Arthur says, "Please send him my worst regards." We'll find out more about their father later. Good, honest snake oil.
Now, this is the, bounty in Valentine, so it's, like, technically it's not an actual story mission, but it is required for the achievement Lending a Hand, which is kind of odd,
I think
but
it's also required for 100% though, because you have to do a certain number. Oh no, it's not required. You just have to do a certain number of
yeah,
bounties.
you
But
just have to do 5 bounties to get
I
it.
always start with
These
this one.
yeah, one of them you can do. But you go ahead and you get a bounty for Benedict Albright. He's a snake oil salesman, and we end up going to Dakota River and following a ledge. And Arthur ends up saying about something about like how his mom is like sick or whatever, trying to feed him a pity story to come with him. And we end up dropping him off the cliff edge. And I've never gotten gold on this mission because one of the requirements is stopping Benedict Albright from falling off of the cliff.
How the fuck are you supposed to do that?
Button mash, I think. And
Are you
it's like
supposed to catch him or because it says hog
it's
time? Like, do you lasso him?
well, because I know I've seen it done before, but like you pull him up and then he jumps off anyway.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the mission plays off as normal.
So how are you supposed to stop him from falling off the cliff?
That's just from like falling him initially, because if you don't,
Oh,
like Arthur will be like, shit, like shit, or I'm
oh,
sorry or something.
oh! I thought you were supposed. I thought it meant like you were supposed to like stop him from falling off the cliff entirely. Oh, okay. Then
Yeah,
yeah, I think I have gotten gold on this one.
nice.
But you have to stop him from falling off the cliff, hog tie Albright within 1 minute 15 seconds, and return him to the sheriff within 1 minute 30 seconds.
Yeah, and then like we talked about in our Heartlands episode a couple of weeks ago, when you return to the sheriff's office, you will see Sheriff Malloy talking to his mistress, Moira, and that leads really nowhere in the cutscene, but if you go upstairs, it takes a turn.
Yep. Go listen to that episode if you missed it. I,
If you
I do like the part where Arthur's bringing him back to the sheriff's office and he has him on the back of the horse and he keeps knocking him out. And Albright says, "I seem to keep passing out," or something like that. Arthur, "Yeah, you do seem to be blacking out." I love that one.
good line. And then that brings us into our third mission, Spines of America, which technically Susan has to tell you about this one first. You walk into camp, and Susan is just like, "Hey, Jose is over at Emerald Ranch looking into something." And so then when you go to Emerald Ranch, you'll meet Hosea by the barn having a secret with Seamus, who we talked about again in our Heartlands episode. He's the owner of the fence, and you talk to him about his cousin, Bob
By marriage.
Crawford, by marriage. He makes it very clear that it's by marriage, and tells you to go to Carmody Dell and rob his stagecoach. And you can go there and you can choose either to rob it during the day or at night. If you rob it in the day, Hosea will go up to the house and start throwing on this whole big charade of being a salesman and a chiropractor. And then you sneak in the side door and loot all the valuables in the house, and then make your way out to the barn grabbing the stagecoach. Or if you choose to go in at night, you can enter in either the front door or the side door, and then you can go ahead and when you make your way outside, Hosea will be already waiting with the stagecoach, and then just make your way back to Emerald Ranch, and they'll talk, and he'll be like, "Hey, if you find any more wagons, bring them to me, and I can see what type of a price I can give you for them." And it's
And
usually not too bad of a price. Like, I think it's like
mhm,
40 to $60 per wagon.
yeah, pretty good. And in order to get gold, you need to loot all items from the Carmody Dell house, don't get spotted, and deliver the wagon to Emerald Ranch within 1 minute and 10 seconds. And in order to loot all of the items, a lot of people miss the cigarette card on the windowsill in the kitchen or like in the front room. But the one that I have the most issue with is when I'm upstairs in the bedroom, in that wardrobe right there, there's like an opened miracle tonic or something. And you have to like, or at least I do. I don't know if it's for everyone, but it's like glitched or something. And I have to go into first person to be able to grab it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I have issues with that one.
Huh.
Because like you have to open up cupboards and there's a chest and there's drawers and stuff that you have to open. And if you
Uh-huh.
don't close them, I think that takes away the gold
Yeah,
because
it takes
you will
away
have
you getting
left a
caught.
sign that you were there. Yeah, so
Mhm.
then you would be caught. So there's that. And Bob Crawford is also, like we said in a previous episode, where we get to see Bob Crawford in the online story. Kind of brief, but we just take down some thieves that helped steal some like artwork and stuff from his house. And you get the option to either kill the thieves or let them go.
Yeah, or leave them on the tracks.
Yeah. So we'll get more into that stuff though when we do our online episodes.
Hmm.
Moving on to pouring forth oil 1 through 4. I love this mission.
It's such a good set of missions, man.
Doing a mission with Arthur, Charles, John, and Sean is just like chef's kiss. And
It's so good. Oh my god. And I mean, we'll talk about it when we get into the actual robbery part, but you can go ahead and talk about the start of it.
okay. So initially, John and Arthur have a conversation at the edge of camp, and John says, Mary Beth told me about the train. Do you need a hand with it? And Arthur's like, I don't even know if we're doing it. And John's like, but wait, I have an idea. And that's my John voice. That's my John impression.
Oh god.
He says, what if we steal an oil wagon and leave the oil wagon on the tracks so the train driver has to stop because no train driver wants to be cooked alive. And Arthur's like, that's kind of brilliant. Next time, let the wolf eat all your brains, then you'll be a genius.
I love their lines.
So good. So part one is essentially just stealing an oil wagon, which you
It's
can
weird
either do what?
because part 1 is that conversation, and then part 2 is stealing the wagon, and then part 3 is the conversation back at camp telling them that you got the wagon, but you can
Oh
also
yeah,
skip
that's
the
true.
wagon if you do a different mission.
Oh, if you skip it, John will just go get it for you and be like, the fuck was taking you so long? Ugh.
Yeah, and then we'll just cut straight to part 3, and then part 4 is the actual robbery itself.
So yeah, part one is just the conversation. Part two is stealing the wagon. And you can either steal the wagon from Cornwall Kerosene and Tar from the oil refinery, or if you don't want people shooting you, you can steal it from Valentine. But but it can like move depending on like I think you have to go right there after you have that conversation with John. If you go
Mhm.
right to Valentine, it'll be there. You'll see it on the
Yeah.
map. But I think it's I don't think it's possible to get gold on that one though if you get it from Valentine because you have to get the wagon to the house in Scarlet
Within
Meadows.
1 minute and 45 seconds.
Yeah, and I don't think it's possible to get it there that fast from Valentine. So, it's up to you if you wanna get the gold or deal with not having to get in a shootout. We have to go back to camp and tell John that we've got it there, and then we go back to that house and we find Sean shooting bottles really badly, missing,
Yep.
and that the whole, like, bickering that Sean and Arthur have is just great.
I love it.
So, we have a conversation with Sean, and then if it's daylight out, Arthur will say that he's gonna get some rest. If not, then it just, like, goes into the next cutscene,
Mhm.
and John and Charles walk up, and John's like, "What are you doing here, kid?"
Oh,
And
wait, you forgot about one of the best lines from Sean. When Arthur's, like, going around inspecting the wagon, making sure everything's okay. Arthur's like, "If I bring you along, I might as well bring Micah."
yep,
And Sean's
"Compare me to
immediately
that oily shirt again, you're a dead man."
such a good line. All of Sean's lines are great.
I love that. And anyway, so then John and Charles walk up, and John says, "What are you doing here, kid?" And Sean says, "I'm coming along for the job." And John's like, "I said you weren't coming." And Sean says, "Well, Arthur says I am, and it's
Um,
his party boys." So they get on the wagon. They all ride on the wagon, and Sean is just bullying the shit out of John.
yeah, I'd knock him off the wagon to add add more to it.
John?
Yeah, because when you're driving down, you can hit that,
The
post,
yeah.
and John'll just go flying.
You're a menace.
I know.
There is there dialogue that happens if you do that?
No,
Oh, okay.
it just slows you down.
You just think it's funny?
Yep.
God. Anyway, so then we park the wagon across the railroad tracks. That's where we get that beautiful moment where the train stops and Arthur's standing
Yes.
on the wagon.
Yes, and this whole part is actually, again, a reference to the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. Such a great movie for considering it was 2010. It's a good Western, and there's plenty of influence in Red Dead.
And we have been kind of talking about doing the idea of like talking about some good old classic westerns on here. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll have to go into
stay
it at
tuned for that.
some point.
At some point, that's coming. But getting back into pouring forth oil, part 4, we stop the wagon, the train stops, we get down, Charles knocks out the engineer, then we board the train. Oh my god, a train.
Oh my god.
Ugh, I wish I could say that word like a normal human once again, but whatever.
Yeah.
Looting people with John, and then we
Yeah.
get to the baggage car with Sean, and he hasn't even gotten into it. He hasn't even taken a look, and he gets knocked out by a guard, and you have to shoot the guards. Then you have to loot the baggage car, and then once you're done looting the baggage car, which one of my favorite like moments with Sean, I think in that part. I mean, maybe it's just me. It, like became a vocal stem is where he's like, "Are those tennis rackets? Posh
Gosh,
bastards."
bastards.
The way he says "posh bastards" like cracks me up. I don't know why that's one of my stems too.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the first little bit of foreshadowing, unfortunately. When after Sean gets back up, he's like, I took a real bang on the head back there, and Arthur's like, at least you ain't got a hole in it.
Rip.
Rip.
Then it becomes another shootout with a bunch of lawmen, and they're shocked that law arrived so quickly. Like so many of them, which they Arthur says he doesn't think it's a setup, but he's getting nervous because he's already been found by Pinkertons at this point. Technically, if you've done the Fisher of Men mission, which we
Mhm.
will get into.
But it's weird because technically it doesn't come up until like the very last mission, and it doesn't change if you don't do the mission first.
I wonder if that's just oversight.
I'm thinking it is because it's like if you do it after, it's the same line, and before it doesn't change. It's the same line if you have already done the mission where it makes sense.
But
So
then they split up after you get off the train and lose the law on your tail. They all group back up together and split up the money. Then they split up, and Arthur tells him not to be followed back to camp. And John says he's going to Valentine to get something started there.
the next mission, according to the book, is an American pastoral scene all the way back over by Strawberry, where we meet up with Micah again.
I always do this
And
mission in chapter 3. So this one you can do like anytime between chapter 2 and 3.
but with this one, you help Micah, but if you go back to the camp, you can find a bounty poster for Dutch
Mm-hmm.
Vanderland.
Yep.
Planting them seeds already.
Right.
God, I didn't even find that one out like just from playing. I found that out online and then I immediately was like, wait a minute.
Do you want to know how I found out about that bounty poster?
Hmm.
I
Oh
read
god.
about it in a fanfic.
Oh
I
my
don't know
god.
who
Of
wrote that fanfic, but
course.
someone wrote a fan fiction about it. It came up in one of them.
Hell yeah. During this mission, you'll go ahead and rob a stagecoach with Micah. It's an armored stagecoach that the O'Driscolls have apparently been hitting on the regular. And Arthur doesn't trust it because it's an O'Driscoll's
It's
bit of
Micah.
information. And it's Micah. And he doesn't believe something an O'Driscoll told him while he was half drunk in a jail cell. But
And see,
they rob the
where
stagecoach.
the part
Go
where he
ahead.
says we've been hitting it on the regular, like that's already sus, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean we've been hitting it on the regular? Like that just sounds shady.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I
Mm.
don't think it's a we've. I think it's they've been hitting it on the regular.
Yeah, that's what I
But
meant.
yeah, either way, it's still kind of shady.
That's red flag number 1. Well, that's
Well,
technically red flag number 2. Red flag number 1 was that it was Micah telling you this.
yeah. But you'll take the stagecoach, and this is where we unlock, well, kind of. This is where we canonically unlock the Lancaster repeater, one of the best repeaters in the game. But like we said
So good.
earlier, you can go to the Rhodes gunsmith and rob the basement and get it from there early on,
Mhm.
which I always do. But you take the stagecoach, and Micah insists on bringing it back to Dutch as like a peace offering. Just as you're taking the stagecoach across the Dakota River, a tree gets knocked down, and you get ambushed by none other than the O'Driscolls. Another shootout starts, and then you're left with the wagon turned on its side and all of the O'Driscolls dead or tucking tail. And you go break the lockbox. And that's basically that mission. Again, if you stick around, you'll get wanted. So it's best to get out of that area as quick as you can.
That's pretty much that one, right?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Fisher of Men. Oh wait, we didn't talk about what you need to do for gold. So,
Oh, no, we did not.
and for the gold for this one, you need to headshot each of the mounted guards protecting the wagon, kill 10 enemies using Deadeye, complete the mission within 5 minutes 50 seconds, and complete the mission without using any health items.
And that's, yeah, of course, it for that mission. But that brings us into back at camp, a mission with Abigail, a fisher of men. Just a fun, relaxing mission where absolutely nothing will go wrong. That makes it
Yeah.
sound worse than it actually is.
Yeah, and what can go wrong? So, Abigail asks us to do something with Jack. She says that his father's useless. Abigail says Jack likes you. Arthur takes Jack fishing, and Jack really has no interest in fishing.
No.
But during this mission, we ride down to the river, and Jack asks Arthur for a book. This is where we get the request for that.
Yep. And this is
And
kind of also our, I guess, supposed to act as our introduction to the whole item requests in general.
mhm.
But yeah, he asks for a storybook since he lost his in Blackwater. while he had to leave his behind.
Yeah.
And Arthur says that, yeah, he'll keep an eye out for it. But they ride down to the river, they get to fishing, and Arthur says one of the lines that you can get is, I taught a young boy to fish once too, not quite as old as you, or something like that, or maybe a little bit older. I can't remember. But that is, I think, supposed to be
Supposed to be
referenced
Isaac.
as a son. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're fishing, and Jack says that he wants to go pick some flowers for, or he wants to make something, and he goes and picks some flowers, and he makes a necklace for Abigail. Well, Arthur's fishing still, and this is basically just tutorial and unlocking the ability to go fishing.
Mhm.
But this is also where we meet Agent Milton and Agent Ross from the
Yeah.
Pinkerton Detective Agency.
Yep. Yeah. And Andrew Milton is, of course, played by John Hickok. He is a delight. We met him in Deadwood.
Hmm.
And Edgar Ross is reprising his role once again from Red Dead Redemption 1 as played by Jim Bentley. I haven't met
So he
him yet.
played Agent Ross in both games.
Yeah.
Good to
And
know.
then the guy that played Fordham, I forget his name right now, but he also came back. He doesn't have any lines in Red Dead 2, but he's seen, of course, in the end credits. And
Oh,
apparently he also came back and reprised his role, even if it was just a standing body double.
that's cool. Didn't know that. This is where Agent Milton tells Arthur that he's a wanted man and he's offering him a deal to turn in Dutch. Says, "You have my word, you won't swing. You turn in Dutch."
And this is also where Milton reveals that he caught up with Mac Callender and he was pretty shot up by the time he got to him. That really it was more of a mercy killing, and that gets Arthur a little angry. So he throws his fishing pole to the ground and he's like, I'm not going to swing anyway. I'm not going to play the games to your stupid rules. And yeah, they just kind of get into an argument. I'm not going to say the entire scene,
But of course, this
but
is happening right in front of Jack. And so when they leave and they're headed back to camp, Jack says, "What did he mean about
before
Mac?"
that,
What?
there is a line from Edgar Ross saying, "Enjoy your fishing, kid, while you still can."
Yeah.
And that is a excellent use of foreshadowing for the ending of Red Dead Redemption 1, which we will get into eventually. I'm not going to say that there because this is a big moment when it gets into Red Dead 1.
Yeah, that is. I don't know why I never connected those dots. Yeah.
Oh, I caught it immediately.
Well, I also didn't play Red Dead 1 before I played Red Dead 2, so
True.
I missed that little detail.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's pretty much it for Fisher of Men.
That
Well,
mission
Arthur
because
gets back to camp and he talks to Dutch about what happened, and he says that he met some
mhm,
agents from the Pinkerton Detective Agency, and Dutch says, like, we're just gonna stay put. They're trying to scare us into doing something stupid. And so nothing really comes of it at that point.
mhm.
Get the gold on this one. After arriving at the river, catch a fish within 1 minute 30 seconds. Complete the mission within 7 minutes 20 seconds. Anyway, that brings us to the sheep and the goats. And John is waiting for you in Valentine at the auction yard, and he has you lead your horse through town, and you have to run into the gunsmith and buy a gun. Well, if you don't have any money, Arthur just takes the gun. Says he's
Mhm.
taking it on credit, but
Yeah,
either way, you get a
and
gun.
John's like, "I can't go in there because I had a run-in with that guy," and Arthur's like, "You had a run-in. I had a run-in with half the damn town," which is true.
I'm curious what John's run-in with that guy was.
Yeah, same.
I like just really started thinking about that. I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't include that in my story." Huh. Wonder what I will make up for that. I'll have to go
Right.
back in and do some work.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the real story here. So we get the gun, and then we were riding out to basically like between Emerald Ranch and Valentine, kind of like across the road from the oil refinery. And we have to scare off a couple guys that are herding sheep from Emerald Ranch to Valentine. And then you have to herd the sheep, and Arthur basically tells John, "Let me handle this because now's not the time to teach you how to herd." And John's
Can't
like,
hurt, can't
"Whatever, man."
win.
John's just, like, so done. We herd the sheep to the auction yard, and the guy in charge of the auction yard,
Auctioneer.
that's the auctioneer?
Yep,
Oh, okay. So, the auctioneer
that's what it
kind of
says in the
haggles
subtitles.
oh, the auctioneer haggles them on the price and, like, saying that he knows that they're that's not their sheep.
Yeah, and that folks swing for wrestling livestock.
Yeah. So, he says for 18%?
I
No.
think is
No, I think his initial offer is, like, 25%.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
for
and then I think they
25%
get down to
kickback,
18.
yeah, then John negotiates down to 18% kickback, so he doesn't say anything to anyone. And then we go to the saloon to meet with Dutch, and Dutch is sitting there having a conversation with Strauss. He sends John and Strauss out to go make sure there's no funny business about, and
Hmm.
he's talking with Arthur. He talks about how he should have left Strauss where he found him. And then almost immediately, there's yelling out in the street, and it is Leviticus Cornwall.
Yep, he's played by John Rue, and one of the kind of bigger antagonists of the game ish. But it's a cool cutscene. It's probably up there with one of my favorites. Of course, this trailer or this scene was included in the trailer, and it was our reveal shot of John. So
Oh, I didn't know
it's
that.
yeah, it's one that kind of stuck with us.
So yeah, then it, of course, turns into a shootout. You have to shoot the guy holding onto John. Someone
Mhm.
has him held at gunpoint.
It's also our kind of like intro to the like slow draw
Oh
feature.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or I mean, technically the quick draw, but like Deadeye wise, it's slow to like hold down the trigger and blast it.
Yeah. And that becomes another shootout. And Dutch and John are, well, of course, Strauss gets shot at some point in the
Yep.
leg. And so they get Strauss into a wagon that has no horses, and they have to push the wagon through the mud all the way through town. And Dutch tells Arthur to shoot everyone and use the wagon as cover. And they get to the other end of town where the horses are waiting, and you get Strauss onto the back of John's horse, and Dutch and John take off, and Arthur has to go right away to lose the law on their tail. And in order to get gold on this mission, you need to herd all the sheep back to the pen in Valentine, so you can't lose any sheep. Get 35 headshots, finish with at least 80% accuracy, and complete the mission without using any health items. And then you get back to camp, and that leads us into strange kindness because Dutch and Hosea are getting the camp packed up to move.
Mhm.
And Dutch and Hosea are having a fight.
Oh
They're
yeah.
Hosea's pissed, but
I mean, to be fair, it's kind of a bad spot.
yeah, yeah, it's totally reasonable.
It's a very bad spot.
You speak to Dutch in his tent, and Dutch tells you to go ride with Charles up ahead to find a new camp location.
Mhm.
And he says Micah told him about a dried up creek bed called Dewberry Creek in Scarlet Meadows.
Which is,
And
I will say, is interesting because you can save the American pastoral scene or even breaking him out of jail until chapter 3, and that line again won't change, even if
mhm.
he isn't in camp yet.
So you get to Dewberry Creek and you find a body, and you find a campsite just kind of on the edge of the creek bed. And they're all Arthur and Charles are already kind of concerned because it's very open for this to be a new campsite. But they search this campsite to see if anyone's still there, and they find a woman and her two children hiding under a wagon, and they speak German. And they say that some men came and took their father. And so Charles asks where they took him and where they can find him. And Arthur wants nothing to do with this. He does not want to go on this mission. But they go out and they find this man. They track the men who took their father, and they find the campsite that we take up next, Clemens Point. You find their father tied up, and he's yelling in German that it's a trap. And a bunch of men come out of the trees, and it's another shootout, of course. and we rescue their father and take him back to the mother and children, and they pack up their wagon and they leave. But before they go, the father gives Arthur, is it a gold bar? Just
Yeah.
one gold bar, right? Yeah. So the father says thank you and gives Arthur a gold bar. And then that's pretty much it for chapter 2.
Mhm.
And for gold on that mission, you need to return the captive to his family within 1 minute and 40 seconds, get 5 headshots, finish with at least 80% accuracy, complete the mission without using any health items. And what was I going to say? Oh, that's one of our other favorite Arthur lines in that mission when you're taking the father back to his family. The man is speaking German, does not speak English, speaking
Mhm.
German, and Arthur says, I'm sorry, I barely speak English, friend. How does someone even come up with them words? And then he says, I'm sorry, I hardly even speak English. So that's pretty much it for chapter 2.
Yeah.
There are a few optional missions in chapter 2, though, that we did not cover. One of them being the mission we can go with Javier to find the the house. Where is it called?
It is called Shuz Porter. It's up by Window Rock and just on the north side of the Dakota River.
Yeah, that one's a fun mission. So
Yeah.
you go and rob this house, and the people have their own strange dialect. I love listening to the dialogue at that house.
Yeah, it's a good one. And I think you can also get another gun for free there if you go
Yes.
inside the one of the lofts in the bedrooms.
Hmm.
There's a hunting mission with Charles where you can go hunt some bison, and it starts off normal. You hunt a bison, and then just as you're about to take it back to camp, you come across some more dead bison, and Charles understandably gets very pissed off.
Hmm.
And we go and we track who found them, and Charles just loses it, and it is not to, like, gush over fucking Noshir's performance, but also to gush over his performance.
It's so good.
He just gives it his all, and it's crazy. I mean, it's no wonder that man broke equipment during production.
Yeah, you find a campsite with 2 poachers, and Charles understandably just lets them have it.
Mhm.
But before you finish that mission, you find, which pamphlet is it?
I think it's one of the health tonics.
You find a pamphlet there, and I don't know if it's a health tonic or if it's, I feel like it's one of the horse tonics.
It could be one of the horse tonics.
I don't know. I know you find a pamphlet there, but some good stuff to loot at that camp. Plus, you can steal
Mm,
their horses.
yeah,
One
pretty
of them has an
Appaloosas.
Appaloosa, and one has a dapple gray thoroughbred.
Both good horses.
So that pretty much does it for chapter 2. I don't think we, I mean, I know there's a lot of like stranger missions that are
But
in this area and
yeah,
everything,
but
but we're gonna get into that later when we have a
y yeah, we're
stranger
gonna
mission.
do an entire Stranger Missions episode, so yeah, we'll get into that when, we do that.
Yeah, I think that about does it. And that's it for us today, partner. Thank you so much for spending some time with us here at the Outlaw Haven. It really means a lot to us. And if you like what you heard, we upload every Thursday at 3 a.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you follow or subscribe wherever you're listening so you don't miss what's coming next. I'm Sam,
I'm Zaya.
and this is the Outlaw Haven.